travels from home to office. So there's a lot of thought given to it, and unfortunately we've been stuck with waves after waves, and every time we think of reopening, something comes in our way. But what has happened is now the corporate real estate is looking for healthier buildings. They're looking at, buildings which are safe for people, good quality indoor air, which was, hardly planned in the buildings. You don't have treated fresh air in the buildings. Now there is how to connect outdoors with indoors, and how can we make, the whole system efficient. I know Sunil would agree with me in terms of, if you're inside a lift, and I face this issue every day, I just check how many people have entered the lift and who all have touched the lift buttons. But somewhere we need to improve on the infrastructure and make buildings, and they have to be repurposed. You can't just overnight demolish the buildings and create something which you feel safe. So you have to repurpose the building and reimagine and redesign. That's the future.
But when it comes to repurposing and redevelopment, what is the major challenge from a developer side that you have faced?
Account for a lot of things which would make it safe. For example, if we had to go with the touchless surfaces and limit access to people in the lifts. So do we have those buildings where this retrofit can happen? No, we don't have those. So we have to again redesign, reimagine, and in corporate real estate most of our clients are actually thinking of not operating at 100% capacity, and there would be shifts now. So there's no fixed timing that offices will open from 9 to 5. You will have flexibility. The purpose of office would change. It would be as sort of a social space to come, collaborate, discuss, and then go back to home and operate. So now you don't need an office or four walls in office to operate. We've seen in the last 2 years this great experience has worked so well that every industry can operate remotely. Yeah, with some challenges, but yes, we can operate remotely as well.
I'm seeing a lot of knowledge sharing and a lot of contributions from everybody on this panel and the panels before. Good to be here. Congrats and appreciations to Naredco for their MAHI wing, which is a real commendable feature they have started and a chapter they have started in Naredco. So kudos to Naredco and all the members of Naredco. Khair, thanks for moderating this panel, and your question is very pertinent. PPP, public-private partnerships, are the name of the game today. I'll tell you a few examples because I think I'm going to make my whole contribution in way of examples. Airports across the world, especially in India, have got presently getting into privatization zone, public-private partnerships. I'll tell you a simple thing. Aircrafts used to land on the runway, and once they land, they have to taxi to their bay. I'm sure all of us know that. But once you land and you're on the taxi path, that is the time the aircraft uses most of its fuel and also emits a huge amount of gases that are not good. PPP has made some of the airports in the country to bring about technology to aid this particular activity. I don't know if you've heard of this element called taxi bot. What's a taxi bot? So the aircraft lands, actually the pilot can exit the active runway, and a taxi bot, an equipment, a taxi bot as it's called, can get latched onto the plane and can drive it to its parking bay without using the aircraft's fuel or emission. And if taxi bots are battery operated, which it will be absolutely complete elimination of use of fuel, pollution of poisonous gases, etc., and a very healthy environment in that particular zone. So technology is one of the great enablers that will happen when you get into PPPs, where you can actually use minds not only of a particular section of the country or the economy, like a government or a body or a particular, but across the globe, you can get minds to bring about sustainable features in a particular area. Again, sustainability doesn't only, like Gupta said or Suparna said, not only to buildings, it's the world. It's Mother Earth, like he rightly said, it's not only buildings, it's Mother Earth. So technology will be a great enabler if you have PPP. Bringing of minds will be a great enabler if there is PPP. One of the major aspects in sustainability is, I had the group for my company for facilities across the group. If I take a budget paper, we are in March, and put it to the management and I say, sustainability, I have to spend 30 crores. How many of you in this room, if you are my CEO, will approve the 30 crores? No. Somebody said violently no. So naturally I will not get 30 crores. Generally, I am talking in a very generic way. I am not talking about a particular company. So, but when you do a PPP, financial engineering can happen. Today there are people who are giving you many sustainable features. For example, lights on a ROI model. The lights are free of cost. When you get your ROI, savings on the energy, you pay me back. Financial engineering can happen very well if there are private-public PPP, private-public partnerships. Also, all of you know the story of the metro becoming privatized in the country. The metro has enabled, that's a good example, that has enabled a 360-degree sustainable feature for the user. Let's take Hyderabad Metro. The metro not only takes care of the commute of the person in the metro, but has introduced e-vehicles for people to reach the last mile to the metro stations. And number of e-buses, e-vehicles are there. Otherwise, people will be flooding. These are the metro's PPP advantages. Otherwise, people will come in their vehicles, people will come in auto rickshaws, people will come in buses, blah, blah, blah. Today, the E word has come in large way. And once you get into the metro, it's very, the filters of the metro actually clean the air probably in about 30 seconds to 45 seconds. There is air change in the metro itself, which is a PPP. If you get down from the metro, you have various ways of waste management and conservation of many of the resources that we use, including to going to zero waste, which is an amazing feature of the PPP, which is an example from.
We are coming to an end of our session, but if you have to have something, a message for the audience, what would it be? One takeaway for the audience, what would it be?
I have about 2-3 takeaways. Can I?
One.
I think that's why we are all here, to take back takeaways to our own domains and our own worlds and implement it. First thing, I'll just make it as quick as possible. Be simple and look at small things instead of doing large things. Let's say tomorrow morning you enter your office and there's a fresh fragrance of Rajnigandha in your office. Will all of us feel happy or not?
Yes.
Rajnigandha costs much? Not much at all. Nature infusing into the office will make the office. So it's a simple thing. I'm just giving you the tip of the iceberg. You just introduce nature into the office. The entire sustainable aspect will dwell on every single person occupant of the building. So look at simple things combined with nature, which Suparna spoke about, mud houses, etc., etc., etc. So simplicity and nature is a great thing, and you don't have to go running around to find it. It's all available within our reach. The second thing is inclusion management. Don't be silos. Include everybody around you in your domain. Somebody said, this is my building, what about the next building? Let it go to rubbish. My building will be sustainable, your building will not. Inclusive management is something that I want to give as a takeaway. So not your department alone, not yourself alone, not your house alone, not your office alone, not your city alone. Inclusive management is something that all of you can drive. So it's a large subject you can go about. And the third thing is care for people well-being and wellness, which is going to take sustainability to the next level, out of which one of the takeaways is zero in every waste or every resource that we use. Zero wastage, recycling, reuse of water, reuse of elements. Zero is the key word for wastage. In everything, reuse is the second keyword. If we do this, these three takeaways will take sustainability to the next level in each one of our spheres and our lives.
Thank you, Ram. Suparna, one takeaway for the audience. Ram, we get three, you need to give one. Huh?
He gave all the nice ones. He's already taken them.
She asked me first.
Yeah. So I think a crazy song from a movie called Rockstar. It said, "Main bhi hu nature." Okay. So I think that's what we have to understand. Main bhi hu nature. Okay. If we are doing it for ourselves, then it's not selfless. Okay, sustainability is not a selfless notion. It is a selfish notion. Please do it for yourselves. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you. Good week.
How many of you have made your will? How many of you have made your will? Now, you must have put your gold, your jewelry, your property in your will. Would you like to put in a tornado, a cyclone, a tsunami, heat island effect, and forest fires? You can only measure how rich you are by counting the things you have that money cannot buy. I am repeating, you can measure how rich or wealthy you are by counting the things you have that money cannot buy. And I will quote Greta Thunberg. Ladies and gentlemen, how dare you? How dare you destroy my future and the future of my children and their children and your children to come? We have to make a change together. Be the change.
To Greta, I will say that I am sustainable because in my will I have donated my eyes and all my organs. So Devin?
All of my fellow panelists have said good things. So my only request to all of you is don't forget what has happened in past 2 years. We suddenly become aware of sustainability, wellness, but don't forget it, keep it in your mind, because in the last 2 years we've learned a lot of things. So just follow what you've been following for the last 2 years, which is hygiene and care for Mother Earth. That's the only request I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Swati?
Okay, so as the last one in the row to speak, exhausted with all the good ones, but yes, I would say that at a personal level, just take a pause. Whenever we take any choice or any action, just take a pause and just think twice. Even for that matter, when we are going to a supermarket or buying any stuff and then either choosing to get our own bag or a paper bag or a plastic bag, just take a pause and think. Probably that will help us to make the right choice if we take one moment of silence and pause to rethink before we act. So that's all.
Thank you so much for this insightful session. Raf, one more.
Sorry, I could not resist myself to speak about this because I also represent an organization called GACS, Global Association for Corporate Services. I'm not promoting them, but I'm just trying to say, when I said inclusive management, organizations like IGBC, the Delhi, many people represent many organizations. If you have inclusive management, so GACS, for example, has got 4,300 members in sustainability, security, leadership. So this is not competitive. It is so of all organizations, look at inclusive management, we can make the world a better place. And that's what I was trying to say. And I represent GACS also. So I thought I'll use this opportunity to say that this is what all of us have to do.
Thank you, Raf. I know GATS well. I've worked with GATS very well. And I know that sustainability is a very, very big pillar for them in corporate real estate. Thank you.
Sure, thanks.
So thank you panelists for a wonderful, insightful session. And I would actually like to make an announcement before we end this session. Tara ma'am with me, and what has, as a part of a sustainability, IPA, Naredco MAHI.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tara ma'am, and can I call my Vice President, National Vice President of IPA, Indian Plumbing Association. Gautam sir, and some of you used a lot of E's. Gentlemen, and today plumbing contributes to 13 to 15% of a building cost. So, and buildings have become very complex, eye to sky, and therefore it's very important that we skill women so that we can employ women in trades which are required by skilled people. So, thank you very much for this initiative, Tara ma'am and Khair, thank you.
I don't know whether you all noticed, today when we were felicitating our speakers, the first thing I told my guys, I don't want plaques. I would rather give them plants. Now this is what I think Ralph had said, start from giving plants or something. We'd already done it before Ralph gave us the idea, so I think I'm quite happy about that. Because I think that's what we need to do. In fact, whenever I give a talk somewhere and they ask me what is it that I want, I tell them just plant trees on my behalf. I think that's one way of giving back to nature what nature has given us. Thanks.
Like for our talks, MAHI talks, we actually give a plaque for growing trees. We actually give plants, plant trees for all our speakers and all our participants.
In modern time building, when you go 100 story and something like that, plumbing becomes a science. It is not a 2-3 story building where you put up the pipe and the things goes automatically. No, plumbing is a big science. And when this attached bathroom started in UK in 1940s, then there was a public advertisement, who is your family plumber? Place in modern time. Thank you very much.
So before we formally close this session, we express our thanks and gratitude to our speakers. Thank you for joining us and present the plan to Ms. Swati Sharma. So a key message which went from all our speakers is let's work towards creating a beautiful world. Take care of your people, take care of your planet as you the Executive Director, Legal DLF, thank you ma'am. And may I request Ms. Poonam Pal to present the plant, thanking Mr. Ransom. Your office adding to the Rajnigandha.
जो इतना गहरा संबंध है फाइनेंस फैसिलिटेशन सेक्टर की शुरुआत हुई है we would love to know that what is FFC and how it is.
First of all, Naredco, my congratulations with you. Look at the event, look at the gala, things that you have been single-handedly been able to manage this. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody being present here. Finance before lunch, I don't know how much it will feel like, but let me try it out and see that the lunch at least become good. Finance, प्रीति जी, just वो दोनों में बहुत ही गहरा रिश्ता है. लोगों को लगता है कि रियल स्टेट, ईंट, सीमेंट, बाली, इन सब से बनता है रियल स्टेट. यदि हम लोग यदि 1 रुपया यदि कोई NBFC जो पैसा ही बांटती है, if I invest 1 rupee in an NBFC, I do a business of 9 rupees. If I invest 1 rupees into an EPC, जल्दी चक्के लगाने हैं, देश की इकोनॉमी को सबसे ज्यादा फायदा कराना है, सबसे जल्दी एम्प्लॉयमेंट करनी है. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना बुखार हो गया तो क्रॉसिंग ले लीजिए. यदि देश को कुछ भी कभी भी डिप्रेशन की कुछ भी बातचीत हो, कभी भी किसी भी गवर्नमेंट को लगता है कि सर इकोनॉमी में ग्रोथ चाहिए, कुछ भी चीज चाहिए, सर रियल एस्टेट में थोड़े से और पैसे डाल दीजिए. The economy, the entire connection that the real estate industry brings with this entire set of economy, connection with around 300 industries, connection with the have and this is such a blessings for any country and for any point of time. लुक एट एनीथिंग, लास्ट 4 साल से हम लोग कुछ देश के अंदर में थोड़ी सी डिप्रेशन की या थोड़ी सी ग्रोथ नहीं होने की बात कर रहे हैं, तो 4 साल से रियल एस्टेट अच्छा कहाँ कर रहा है? इसमें ग्रोथ की बात कर ही रहे थे। अब आपने बताया कि व्हाट इज सो प्रॉब्लम एरिया, व्हाई एफएफसी हैज कम इनटू द प्रोमिनेंस, माने व्हाई। तो राजन सर के साथ में भी वे डिस्कसिंग वन डे कि रियल एस्टेट के अंदर में देयर इज लॉट ऑफ ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट बिटवीन द बिल्डर्स एंड बिटवीन द इंडस्ट्री एट लार्ज एंड द फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस। बहुत सारा ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट हो गया। व्हाई द ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट हैज कम बिटवीन द बोथ पार्टीज टू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? द ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट हैज कम बिकॉज ऑफ लॉट ऑफ अदर फैक्टर्स। बिकॉज एक तो इंडस्ट्री में काफी सारा अमेंडमेंट हो गया, फिर बैंकर्स उस इंडस्ट्री अमेंडमेंट के लिए बैंक्स एंड बिल्डर्स में आपस में काम करने के तरीके में काफी कुछ अमेंडमेंट हो गया। तो 3-4 साल के अंदर इफ यू लुक एट इन दिस लास्ट 3-4 years there is a lot of changes, lot of amendment, lot of fast forwardness which has happened। तो एक दूसरे को पता ही नहीं कि कहाँ क्या हो रहा है। मेरी तो कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं है। तो इंस्टीट्यूशन स्टार्टेड फीलिंग आई डोंट हैव एनी सिक्योरिटी लेफ्ट विथ मी। तो इंस्टीट्यूशन वेयर अगेन कंफ्यूज्ड कि सर हम करेंगे क्या in case of any bank loan going bad, what we are going to do in that perspective। So there were lot of confusions, there were lot of plus इंडस्ट्री को पहले जैसे पैसा यूज करती थी, पहले जैसा पैसा लेती थी, आज के टाइम पे the money that they require it is in a different form, it is in different shape and size। Now there is so much of thing which is already regulated। तो हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि जहाँ जहाँ आपको रेगुलेट करना चाहिए वो रेगुलेशन और कंट्रोल मैकेनिज्म फॉर द इंस्टीट्यूशन आल्सो नीड टू बी चेंज्ड। ऑल द स्टेकहोल्डर्स टुगेदर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ईच अदर थिंग कि हमारी जो डायनामिक्स बदल गई, बिल्डर को काम करने का जो तरीका बदल गया है और बैंकर्स के लिए जो पैसे देने के लिए जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट बदल गए हैं, दोनों के बीच में देयर हैज टू बी सम इंटरप्रिटेटर। जैसे हम एक दूसरे की लैंग्वेज, बैंकर हमारी लैंग्वेज समझ पाए और बैंकर की लैंग्वेज हम समझ पाए, सो देयर हैज टू बी सम इंटरप्रिटेटर की रिक्वायरमेंट हर जगह रहती है सर। तो फाइनेंस फैसिलिटेशन सेंटर इट इज गोइंग टू डू द जॉब। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी आर गोइंग टू डू अ मेजर पॉलिसी एडवोकेसी जॉब इन द फाइनेंस फैसिलिटेशन सेंटर where the exact requirement of the country for the real estate industry we are going to educate to the lender at large and to educate the builder also कि सर अब आपको काम ऐसे करना चाहिए, and then to make the right policies in place। If you can just change the slide please।
I request the console to play the PPT please।
Main objective is sir facilitating role for real estate developers to assess the funds in a more professional manner, matching the developer financing demands with the banks, FIs and NBFC। Again this is such a critical thing। Now we need to understand, builder need to understand। पहले builder खाली आके कोई भी real estate industry वाले लोग आके क्या बोलते हैं, हमें पैसा चाहिए। अब पैसा चाहिए एक अलग चीज है। We have to understand why I require the money, whether I require the money for purchase of land, whether I require the money for construction purpose, whether I require the money for my inventory discounting, whether I require the money for my cash flow discounting। I also require the end use of that money। मैं किसी भी चीज के लिए, कोई आदमी बैंक के दरवाजे पे हम जा रहे हैं, हमको सिर्फ ये पता हम पैसा ले रहे हैं, बैंकर के पास में अपन को 5 चीजें और लेके जानी है। जब हम 5 चीजों की क्लैरिटी करते हैं तब हमको पता लगता है कि मेरा राइट पार्टनर कौन है। हमको यदि एनबीएफसी के पास जाना है तो हम उस पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, उस पर्टिकुलर चीज के लिए हमको राइट आदमी के पास जब फिट करेंगे तो योर चांसेस ऑफ गेटिंग द फंड रेजिंग इज बेटर। So this is where we take की सब matchmaking। Matchmaking is nothing that matchmaking is that your priorities and his funding priorities need to be matched together। We need to understand both the parties' matching personalities to work towards creating awareness about market and new schemes among the developer through road shows, seminars and other things। जब हम लोग बैंकों के साथ बात करके, एनबीएफसी के साथ बात करके जब हम कोई नई स्कीम बनाएंगे तो वो डेवलपर तक हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू रीच आउट टू देम। दिस इज वेयर प्रीति जी एंड राजन जी टोल्ड मी कि दिस इज व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डू, दैट वी आर टू क्रिएट द न्यू पॉलिसीज, न्यू प्रोसीड्योर्स एंड द न्यू स्कीम्स फॉर द बैंक्स फॉर फंडिंग ऑफ द डेवलपर्स। हम लोग जो इंडस्ट्री स्टेटस देने की बात कर रहे हैं, व्हाई आर द रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री स्पीकिंग कि हमको इंडस्ट्री स्टेटस मिलना चाहिए। जब हम इंडस्ट्री स्टेटस की बात करते हैं तो हम ये बोलते हैं कि जो क्लास में फर्स्ट आता है और क्लास में सेकंड आता है और क्लास में फिफ्थ आता है, उसके हिसाब से आप मेरे को रिस्क वेटेज दीजिए, उसके बेसिस में आप मेरे को नंबर दीजिए, उसके बेसिस में आप मेरा रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट चार्ज करिए, उसके बेसिस में सारा चीज करिए। तो दिस इज वेयर अभी रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री के अंदर वो डिमार्केशन नहीं है। बैंकर अपने मन से डिमार्केशन देता है कोई चीज के लिए, वो आउट ऑफ एक्स ग्रेशिया देता है, उसके लिए कोई माने बैकएंड में उसको कुछ फायदा नहीं हो रहा है। तो दिस इज वेयर द इंडस्ट्री स्टेटस विल प्ले एन इंपॉर्टेंट रोल। And now what are the services that this finance facilitation sector क्या ऑफर करने वाला है कि हम बोल रहे हैं कि सर हम आपका प्रोजेक्ट स्टडी करेंगे, असेसमेंट करेंगे, उसके लिए जो फाइनेंशियल डॉक्यूमेंट बनाने, we will handhold the developer in preparing all the basic document and doing everything. Then फिर आइडेंटिफिकेशन एंड डिस्कशिंग विद द राइट फाइनेंशियल पार्टनर, उसके बिहाफ में हम जाके बात करेंगे. Then we will submit and we'll do the entire licensing and we will see at the end of the day that money reaches the bank account of the developer. Thank you so much. All clapping for Rajan sir and Preeti ji.
Actually, the
We are
Naredco
just the
leadership
facilitator. I am just a facilitator in.
to always give credit to other stakeholders, but I must say that ये जो चुनौती भरा माहौल रहा, स्पेशली 2 साल कोरोना के बहुत मुश्किल रहे सभी के लिए, ना केवल फाइनेंस के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, बट मैं तो ये कहूँगी कि शारीरिक मानसिक तौर से भी, चाहे हम बिल्डर हो या ना हो, काफ़ी परेशानियों से हमें जूझ. It is our responsibility to handhold and start looking for new solutions which will help this sector to cope up with such challenges what we have faced in the past. So,
look, just to give you some of the things, thoda sa I will just not get into much more technical in nature, just from a layman perspective, whatever that I can try and make you understand कि पहले whatever the loan that we used to raise, पहले हम लोगों को लगता था कि हम लोग एक टर्म लोन के रूप में, टर्म लोन होता था कि हम लोग पहले पैसा लेते थे बैंक से, एक साथ में पैसा ले लेते थे और प्रोजेक्ट के एंड होने के बाद में बैंक को पैसा चुका देते थे. उसके अंदर में शायद 4-5 साल का गैप हो जाता था. एंड अर्लियर व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग, there were important thing that need to mention, although it might be good or bad that I don't know. Inefficiencies was rewarded. How inefficiencies was rewarded? Because आज यदि मैंने प्रोजेक्ट को लेट कर दिया, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, मेरे प्रोजेक्ट की लैंड कॉस्ट बढ़ रही थी, मेरी प्रॉपर्टी प्राइसेस बढ़ रही थी, तो इट मीन्स डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली my inefficiencies was getting rewarded that way. तो कोई ज़्यादा उसके ऊपर बातचीत नहीं हो रही थी. तो माई प्रोजेक्ट लाइफ साइकिल यूज्ड टू गेट इलॉन्गेटेड, मतलब कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट करने में 8 साल 10 साल 12 साल लग रहे थे, बिकॉज इनएफिशिएंसीज वाज गेटिंग रिवॉर्डेड. और बिल्डर क्या करता था, व्हाट द डेवलपर यूज्ड टू डू, वो ए इंस्टीट्यूशन से पैसा लिया 3 साल के लिए, बिकॉज एज ए रियल स्टेट खाली एक दिक्कत क्या कि हम 3 से 4 साल से आई एम नॉट एबल टू टेक मोर मनी फॉर ए लॉन्गर टेन्योर ऑफ लोन. दैट माई इनएफिशिएंसीज वाज गेटिंग रिवॉर्डेड दैट वे. But now what has happened, since there is not so much of property prices appreciating in this last 3-4 years, so now the efficiencies in the project, in my delivery, this is where the man between the boys difference has to come in. This is how you will see that lot of consolidation has to come in. This is where you will see that lot of instrument for which the fundraising after the RERA has come in. So now the instrument, it has to be in the form of cash flow deficiency. कि सर कस्टमर एडवांस मैंने यदि जनवरी महीने में प्रोजेक्ट किया है, वो मार्च महीने में आ सकता है, 1.5-2 महीने का मेरे को कैश फ्लो पे गैप हो सकता है. तो इट मीन्स माई प्रोजेक्ट लोन, अब वो टर्म लोन की बजाय मेरे को प्रोजेक्ट लोन को मेरे को उसको वर्किंग कैपिटल के रूप में आई हैव टू रेज मनी. And after NCLT has come in, so there has to be some additional security that need to be given apart from the primary security. पहले कस्टमर एडवांस वाज नॉट ट्रीटेड एज एनीवेयर. पहले बैंकर का फर्स्ट चार्ज होता था प्रोजेक्ट के ऊपर में, कुछ भी लोन खराब होता तो बैंकर पहले प्रोजेक्ट पे चार्ज ले लेता था. अब बैंकर्स और कस्टमर्स का पैरेलल चार्ज है. सिंस द कस्टमर मनी इज मच मोर देयर, तो जब आप रेशियो निकालते हो तो इट इज ऑलवेज वो कस्टमर का पैसा इज मच मोर देन द बैंक लोन अमाउंट. सो कस्टमर की जो कमिटी के अंदर जब बनता तो कस्टमर जैसा चाहता वैसा ही होता. तो बैंकर्स फील दैट माय मनी इज नॉट सिक्योर्ड. किसी को लगता है कि मेरे को माइक्रो मार्केट में क्या करना. तो दिस इज हाउ दिस व्हाई द जॉइंट वेंचर इज कमिंग, बिकॉज 4 or 5 distinct activities, those are specialized activities coming with distinct skill set there. So this is where these joint ventures are coming into it. So this is where in terms of RERA and everything, I think so market is absolutely well poised. I think FFC, we have to do a lot of work in arranging and making the bankers understand this FFC जहाँ 5 stakeholders involved हैं, उसकी फंडिंग के लिए किस तरीके से कि आज किसका कैश फ्लो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कैसे हो रहा है, लैंड की सिक्योरिटी कैसे जाएगी, जो लैंड दे रहा है जो माल बना रहा है वो अलग अलग आदमी है. So this is how these different structures need to be evolved. This is where FFC has to play a very, very important role in determining the project funding for this joint venture project.